Ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, Sebastion, Envi, strong style, I'll just returning from Transformers 1. And cliff notes of this review. It was fucking awesome. You should go see it. Like, that's what I got for you. I mean, you stick around for the rest of this. I'm just going to mark out over some fun stuff that happened in the film. It was cool that I was literally the only person in that theater going to see it. But the evolution of Transformers has been something fun to see. Now, I'm a child of the 80s, so G1 is my thing. It's just the way it is. I kind of pity kids who came along and, I mean, I respect, I guess it is what it is. That's what they were exposed to. But kids that, like the Unicron trilogy, like, I hate those. Armada, Energon, whatever the other one is, Cybertron. I hate those series. Like, I think that they sound terrible. And the kids that grew up on the Bayverse movies, I really, really pity them because let's be real, they haven't aged like for shit. They sucked on so many levels. But to see how it started, it was ironclad. It was clear cut as far as like good, evil. Decepticons are bad. Autobots were good. They fight. They sell toys. Cool. But in like last 10, 15 years or more, they've added depth to the characters, a real backstory to the whole thing with Cybertron and what the Golden Age was, and really what set off like the war. There's a level of depth and tragedy to Optimus Prime and Megatron, formerly Orion Pax, and in this case D16. But Megatron, before he was Megatron, they were friends, and ideology tore them apart, put them on opposing lines. That's what you get in this. You get Orion Pax and D16. They're miners. That's what they're born to do. That is their lot in life, to mine energon, because it becomes such a scarce source due to the loss of the matrix of leadership and other things that go on before the movie starts. And these two best buddies are just living their life. I mean, at least D16 wants to. Orion Pax wants. It feels like there's something else. He could do something. He could do more. He could be more, and he is seeking that out. Trying to take more ownership of his life and wanting to decide what his life is going to be. So this mission of Orion Pax, we get some early hijinks with them, and them getting in trouble, and then it sets them on this adventure, which kind of brings the events that lead to their belief system being totally shaken. D16, his view of life totally shattered. There's betrayal, there's deception in it. It's as the movie goes on, you can kind of figure out like early on what the deal is. I mean, we've seen it. It's this is the thing about movies today. Like we've seen like every possible sort of permutation of plots and tropes and all that kind of stuff. So we see the nuts and bolts. We see like what's going to happen before it happens. And I always say that it's all about the execution. Even though we know what's coming, is it executed well enough for us to be okay with that? Like our minds to be okay with that. And that's the case in here. We know going into it that, yeah, Orion and D16 start off as best friends. They end up being Optimus Prime and Megatron. We know that. Seeing it unfold still was worth the journey. The only thing I could knock about it is they kind of like hit us over the head a bit much to kind of say, hey, we're best buddies. We're going to be there till the end. We're going to be there for each other. We're going to have each other's backs. They kind of went overboard with mentioning that. That would be like my only knock. My other knock would be just the voice work. Brian Tyree Henry as D16 / Megatron was good. You could feel the pain in his voice when the betrayal happens, and when he finally crosses that line from D16 to Megatron. Chris Helmsworth as Orion / Optimus. again, I'm a G1 guy, so I have Peter Cullen burned in my brain, and I understand that he can't voice Optimus Prime in every iteration. We got a different one in Transformers Animated. We got a different one in um, Beast Wars. We've had different Prime voices. I just wasn't too sold on Chris Hemsworth. I like Chris Hemsworth. I wasn't too sold on him as Prime. Same with Scarlett Johansson as Alita One. Keegan Michael Key as B127 slash B slash Badassatron. Um, it was just a high pitched Keegan Michael Key. I'd seen on the Dan Levitard show where he was being interviewed on that, and he kind of said that he kind of tries to bring a different aspect of himself to every voice role that he does. Except with this one, he didn't really try a different accent. He just kind of it was just distilled down to himself, just at like a higher pitch. And we're at this point with Bumblebee, like again going back to the Bayverse. The Bayverse gave us some bad things. Okay, the Bayverse gave us Optimus Prime with a fucking mouth. More on that in a second. And first we got Bumblebee that didn't talk. We had that stupid ass talking through the radio bullshit that lasted far too long. And then like the cartoons now we're finally getting back to a Bumblebee that talks, which is cool. He just talked a bit much. He's like in this movie he was that like hyperactive like chatterbot, and I'm just like, can we find a happy medium here? Like I didn't. He kind of got on my nerves a bit. Um, and I was hoping once Orion Pax got the Matrix and became Optimus Prime that he would not have a mouth. That the faceplate that he has would not just be like a battle mask. I was disappointed. Um, the action scenes when they had him were good. There's a lot of like name dropping for G1 names. There was like Motormaster and Swindle and Skyfire and Slingshot and Chromia, and then you see um, some of the like Transformers before like they get upgraded. I'll say to not give too much away from the movie, but you see them before they get upgraded, and when they get upgraded, you can pick out like Ironhide and Brawn and Jazz and Sideswipe and RC. And I was just marking out, just seeing like the G1. Just seeing those like those bots that were sprinkled in there. There's a Slipstream in there too. There's like we see from preview scenes and trailer, you see that Starscream and Shockwave and Soundwave are in there. Wasn't really feeling Starscream's voice actor, and then you got kind of an in-story reason for a voice change with him because he starts off sounding kind of one way, and then he kind of starts off sounding the more kind of high pitch, whiny Starscream. There's a reason for that, but just all around, I was just wasn't really digging his voice actor, being honest. But it was a great movie. I'm gonna see it released once or twice more before it leaves the theater. It told a story that I, as a Transformers fan, know quite well, but it was just executed very well. I was afraid of like just the look of it being like too Pixar-ish. Um, as far as like the humor and stuff like that. And there were some like jokey moments, but for it being what it was, it had heart, it had depth, it had real tragedy as these two guys have falling out and go their separate ways to become Optimus Prime and Megatron leading the Autobots and the Decepticons. Although they weren't called Decepticons in this, maybe that'll come in the sequel. That name for them. They were called something else in this, which is cool. All in all, it's just a great movie. As I said on the outset, it's really fucking good, and you should go see it. Take your kids to it. Um, Looking forward to the sequel at this point. So be curious to see what the box office is going to be, and I think it's a good setup to bring in a new generation of Transformers fans that hopefully carry the legacy, which is at what 40 years now. Um, into the future, um, and just keep Transformers, coming for years and generations to come. It's my hope for it. But those are some of my thoughts on it, scattered as they often are. What do you guys out there think? Leave in the comments below. Follow me on social media. Talk to me there. Talk to me here. Until next time, of course, and always, let us geek.